What if I told you that one of the most intimate and common human acts, far from being a mere physical release, hides a secret key capable of opening portals to power, wisdom, and fulfillment that few could imagine? And what if you discovered that an energy many people waste daily could, if consciously mastered, become the most powerful source of vitality, mental clarity, and personal magnetism? Since time immemorial, the great esoteric and alchemical traditions have spoken of sexual energy as the most potent elixir of existence. It is not only the force that gives rise to biological life, it is also the fuel that builds organs, renews the brain, and sustains the flow of vitality in every cell of the body. The Tower sages knew this well. Whoever masters their seed, masters their destiny. In modern society, masturbation has been trivialized, reduced to an automatic and often compulsive act devoid of awareness and purpose. But what no one usually tells you is that there is a sacred alchemical way to masturbate, not for mere release, but to cultivate, refine, and return that energy to the body and spirit, generating an expansion that touches every area of life. This knowledge was carefully guarded by Taoist masters and internal arts practitioners, such as Mantak Chia and the guardians of sexual Qigong. They taught that the key is not to repress or abandon sexual energy, but to learn to control it, transform it, and redirect it. Because whoever manages to master this vital current gains access to an inexhaustible source of personal power, physical rejuvenation, mental clarity, social magnetism, heightened intuition, and even material prosperity. What follows is a revelation of what was once considered knowledge reserved only for initiates. We will explore how ancient cultures understood conscious masturbation. You will learn the fundamental principles of retention and the return of sexual energy, and understand why managing your sexual energy properly can make you a powerful being, master of your body, your mind, and your reality. Get ready to dive into one of the best-kept secrets of practical esotericism, because when you understand how to handle the energy that gives life, you can create any reality you imagine. This is not exaggeration, it is sacred biology, internal alchemy, pure power waiting to be awakened. What you are about to learn is not just another technique, it is a path of total transformation, where pleasure becomes power, impulse becomes clarity, and the physical ascends into the spiritual. Welcome to the lost art of sexual mastery. The journey to your energetic sovereignty begins now. To understand why sexual energy is considered one of the most powerful and sacred forces of the human being, we must delve into the fabric of ancient civilizations, where sages did not separate the body from the mind, nor the physical from the spiritual. In those cultures, the management of sexual energy was seen as an alchemical art, a sacred science capable of transforming the entire life of whoever learned to cultivate it with discipline and awareness. In ancient China, Taoist masters observed that the sexual seed, known as jing, was not just a biological fluid, but the most concentrated form of vital energy. They taught that every drop of semen or sexual fluid contained the very essence of life, a condensed force that if lost excessively, weakened the body, withered the organs, and shortened longevity. But if conserved, refined, and recirculated inward, it nourished the brain, strengthened the spinal cord, rejuvenated the organs, and expanded consciousness. This gave rise to practices such as seminal retention and the microcosmic orbit, where sexual energy was consciously moved from the sexual center up the spine to the crown, raising the vibrational state of the practitioner. The Taoists held, the true immortality was not the denial of pleasure, but the transmutation of desire into vitality, clarity, and longevity. In Vedic India, Tantra taught similar principles. Through the Tantric scriptures, it was revealed that sexual energy, known as Shakti, was the most powerful manifestation of cosmic energy. Using techniques such as Mithuna, conscious union, and energetic locks, practitioners learned to raise sexual energy through the chakras, awakening Kundalini, the inner serpent of fire that, upon rising, led to enlightenment and divine union. Even outside of Asia, traces of this knowledge can be found. Medieval alchemists spoke of the union of sulfur and mercury, symbols of the masculine and feminine principles, which, when integrated within the practitioner's energetic body themselves, elevating their vibration through the integration and sublimation of internal sexual forces. Even in Egypt, the mystery schools taught that the secret to longevity and spiritual expansion lay in preserving vital essence. The priests of Isis and Osiris practiced rituals where the energy generated through sexual union was directed toward the higher centers, creating a magnetic field so powerful that it enabled connection with celestial realms and the downloading of higher knowledge. The common thread among all these cultures is clear. Sexual energy was not seen as something to be denied or repressed, nor as a mere source of pleasure. It was sacred energy, an evolutionary tool whose misuse led to dispersion, fatigue, and loss of power, but whose conscious use granted vigor, magnetism, clarity, and spiritual expansion. Today, in the modern world, we have forgotten this art. Masturbation, stripped of its sacred nature, has become for many an automatic and compulsive act that scatters this precious energy. But the ancient teachings resurface, reminding us that we can reclaim this wisdom and apply it in our daily lives. Because whoever learns to control this force becomes literally the alchemist of their own destiny. In the next section, we will explore how this energetic process works on a practical and bioenergetic level, and how you can begin to cultivate this ancestral power yourself. To understand how the conscious management of sexual energy can transform body, mind, and spirit, we must first visualize how this energy flows within us. Imagine your body as an ancient dynamo or energy generator, a subtle mechanism capable of producing vast amounts of vital electricity. In this system, sexual energy is the densest and most potent fuel, but also the most delicate. If it is spent without control, the dynamo overheats, wears out, and eventually loses its ability to produce power. But if managed wisely, that energy can feed the whole system, enhancing physical, mental, and spiritual capacities. According to Taoist and Tantric teachings, sexual energy originates in the lower centers, specifically in the lower abdomen or root chakra. This energy, called Jing in China or Oyas in India, is the raw material from which the body is built and life is sustained. It is no coincidence that the body invests massive resources in producing semen and sexual fluids. These contain vitamins, minerals, amino acids, hormones, and enzymes that nourish all bodily systems. When someone masturbates unconsciously and frequently, this energy is lost with each ejaculation or release, causing fatigue, lack of focus, discouragement, and even long-term physical weakness. The ancient masters observed this, and therefore taught the practice of energy retention and recirculation. In simple terms, it's not about repressing desire, but about learning to direct the energy generated by arousal to other centers of the body. How does this work? Through specific techniques such as perineum contraction, PC muscle upward breathing, and conscious visualization. The practitioner learns to move energy from the genitals up through the spine, the abdomen, the heart, the throat, and finally to the crown. This pathway is known in Taoism as the microcosmic orbit and in Tantra as the ascent of the Kundalini. The effect is astonishing. Instead of losing energy, the body is revitalized, the mind becomes clear, emotions are balanced, and the sense of fullness arises that transcends physical pleasure. A useful analogy is that of a pressure valve. When sexual energy accumulates in the genitals without direction, pressure builds until it explodes, ejaculation. But if, instead of releasing, we open channels to the rest of the body, the pressure distributes evenly, nourishing and energizing every part of our being. This process not only prevents depletion, it increases sensitivity, vitality, and personal magnetism. Moreover, sexual energy is highly electromagnetic. When recirculated, it strengthens the auric field, which explains why those who practice these techniques often radiate magnetic presence, natural confidence, and charisma. Their energy doesn't leak. It concentrates, refines, and expands. Another fascinating aspect is the connection with the mind and creativity. The ancients knew that sexual energy is not merely physical. It is also the foundation of creativity, intuition, and the power of manifestation. When it rises to the higher centers, especially the heart and pineal gland, it enhances mental clarity, inspiration, and spiritual connection. That's why many creative geniuses and mystics practiced energetic sublimation to sharpen their intellect and awaken their gifts. In summary, the key lies not in denial, but in conscious control and direction. Learning to manage this energy turns masturbation often. High chat gapped. Seen as banal, or even sinful, into a practice of internal alchemy, where the body becomes a temple, and each pulse of energy is a step toward expanding your power. In the next section, we will dive deeper into the nuances and advanced techniques to refine this art, exploring how to achieve balance, avoid excess, and reach total mastery of the sacred force. So far, we've understood that when sexual energy is preserved and recirculated, it not only nourishes the physical body, but also strengthens the mind, expands awareness, and magnifies our energy field. But to reach true mastery, it's not enough to merely understand energy flow. One must integrate nuance, advanced techniques, and the philosophy of balance and awareness. The first key nuance is the difference between repression and transmutation. Many people, upon hearing about energy retention, fall into the trap of repressing or denying their sexual impulse, which creates tension, blockages, and eventually emotional imbalance. Repression is a rigid, forced containment that blocks energy flow. Transmutation, on the other hand, is a conscious and fluid process where the energy is not denied but redirected toward higher purposes. This brings us to the esoteric concept of rising water. Imagine sexual energy as steam in a pot. If you seal the pot tightly, repression, it will eventually explode. But if you install a proper valve, transmutation, the steam rises and powers turbines that generate electricity. That's how recirculation works. We move the energy through the body, avoiding buildup or leaks. To do this, Taoist sages taught practices like the inner smile, a technique where, through gentle breathing and visualization, energy is directed toward vital organs such as the heart, liver, or kidneys. This practice not only nourishes the organs, but transforms sexual energy into elevated emotions like gratitude, compassion, or serene joy. Another key element is frequency regulation. It's not about never releasing sexual energy, but about finding a conscious personal balance. It is suggested that depending on age, physical constitution, and health, the frequency of ejaculation should be regulated. For example, a healthy young man might allow himself occasional release without harm, while an older adult or advanced practitioner would aim to retain and recirculate more consistently. A guiding principle is the vitality felt after the act. If after masturbating you feel drained, empty, or mentally foggy, it's a sign you've lost too much energy. If instead you feel renewed, calm, and vibrant, it means you successfully retained and recirculated it. The goal is not total abstinence, but refined self-awareness and intention. Intention is also essential when practicing. If masturbation comes from compulsion or obsessive fantasy, energy scatters and fragments, but if practiced with full awareness, deep breathing, visualization of rising energy, and an intention of inner cultivation, the result is entirely different. What was once an empty act becomes a ceremony of self-mastery. An advanced technique is the contraction of the PC muscle, the pubococcygeus, which acts like an energy pump. By gently contracting this muscle during arousal without reaching climax, ejaculation is prevented, and the energy is pushed upward through the spine, combined with upward breathing and visualization of light rising to the crown. This practice refines Jing's sexual essence into Kai vital energy, and later into Shen spiritual energy. According to Taoist alchemy, it is essential to remember that the cultivation of sexual energy is not an end in itself, but a means to strengthen the entire energetic system. As it is recirculated and sublimated, the organs grow stronger, the mind becomes clearer, and intuition expands. The practitioner experiences greater creativity, emotional balance, social magnetism, and spiritual connection without the need for external stimulation. An old Taoist adage summarizes this art: conserve your essence, refine your breath, expand your spirit. This is the path of the sexual alchemist, who transforms fleeting desire into eternal power. In the next section, I will share practical and applicable tips so you can begin this journey of mastery and energetic self-cultivation. Today, now that we've explored the fundamental principles of conscious sexual energy management, it's time to bring this wisdom into your daily life. Simply, practically, and deeply. Because the true alchemist doesn't just know the laws of the universe, they apply them with every breath, every action, and every thought. Here are 4 essential practices, tested over millennia in esoteric energy. First, breathe. Don't rush. When arousal arises, whether naturally or during self-exploration, don't rush toward climax. Breathe deeply and slowly. Inhale through your nose, visualizing energy rising from the base of the spine to the abdomen or heart. Exhale through the mouth, releasing tension. This breathing not only calms you, but redistributes sexual energy throughout the body, preventing it from accumulating in the genitals. Breath is your greatest ally in transforming pleasure into vitality. Second, contract the root muscle. Consciously activate the pubococcygeus PC muscle, the same one you use to stop the flow of urine. Perform gentle, sustained contractions during moments of arousal, without strain or tension. This action drives energy upward, aiding recirculation and preventing unnecessary loss. Practicing this daily, even outside a sexual context, strengthens your energetic foundation. Third, clear intention and elevated visualization. Before any practice, plant a higher intention, such as health, clarity, creativity, or spiritual expansion. During arousal, visualize a golden or white light ascending your spine and reaching your heart or crown. This visualization directs energy to the higher centers, refining its vibration and amplifying its impact in your life. Fourth, balance and inner listening. Don't become obsessed with absolute retention, nor impose rigid rules on yourself. Listen to your body. If you feel excessive tension or discomfort, allow a conscious release without guilt or compulsion. The key is to find your own rhythm, always ensuring that you feel energized, not depleted. Quality over quantity. When practice is done with awareness, it is worth more than any number of repetitions. By applying these 4 keys with patience and consistency, you'll begin to notice subtle yet profound changes: increased physical energy, mental clarity, emotional stability, personal magnetism, and the serenity that permeates all your actions. Well-channeled sexual energy manifests in every area of your life, not only in the intimate realm. Remember, the body is the alchemist's laboratory, and each conscious act is a distillation of power. Don't seek immediate results. This path is an ascending spiral that, with time, will reveal capacities and perceptions you once thought impossible. Throughout this journey, we've unveiled a body of knowledge that for centuries remained hidden, guarded by sages, alchemists, and masters of ancient mystery schools. We've come to understand that sexual energy is not merely a physiological impulse or a recreational act. It is a sacred force, a vital current capable of transforming our body, mind, and soul. We've learned that when this energy is wasted unconsciously and compulsively, the price is high: loss of vitality, mental fatigue, emotional dispersion, and a life disconnected from its true source of power. But when we cultivate this energy with awareness, intention, and discipline, what arises is an inner alchemy that rejuvenates, clarifies, and expands every aspect of our existence. Today, you stand at a crossroads. You can follow the common path, where energy slips away like water through your fingers. Or you can choose the path of the inner master, the one who doesn't reject the impulse, but elevates it, the one who doesn't repress desire, but transmutes it into creative force. Always remember this profound truth: the power you seek outside already lives within you. It pulses in every cell, in every breath, in every heartbeat of your being. What we've explored here is not merely a technique, It is a path of energetic sovereignty, an invitation to become the sovereign master of your sacred temple. When you master your sexual energy, you master your mind. When you master your mind, you govern your reality. And when you govern your reality, you become the conscious architect of your destiny. This knowledge is not meant to be admired from a distance. It is meant to be lived, embodied, and experienced. And the journey does not end here. This is only the first threshold toward a life where your body is a sacred laboratory, your energy a refined treasure, and your spirit a blazing beacon. If this message resonated with you, share this wisdom, expand this energy, and let others remember their forgotten power. Subscribe to this channel, activate the bell, and like this video so that together we can continue exploring the teachings that have guided seekers of balance, mastery, and transcendent truth since time immemorial. Stay tuned for upcoming videos where we will continue to reveal the mysteries of internal alchemy, esoteric techniques, and spiritual expansion. Because this path is infinite, and each